chocolate isn't the answer, could you please repeat the question? Hello, this is Pat Coakley, and it's my monthly podcast called Pod Snacks Art of the Diet, and it's all about the fun of maintaining a significant weight loss. Now, we all know it's not all fun, but I try to make it fun because I've been doing it for 10 years. And I have the attention span of a mayfly, so I can never do things quite the same way. So I hope you join me. All of the past episodes are available on www.artofthediet.com. Hello, this is Pat Coakley. How are we? Okay, I did not know what I was going to say this month of June 2020. So I thought to myself, let me interview somebody else. And the first person I thought of was actually one of the people that I interviewed 5 years ago. Her name is Melissa, and I had met her in Weight Watchers, and like me, she had been a lifetime member for many, many years when we talked. And so we did a podcast, and it turned out to be one of my more popular ones. And in fact, the transcript of it, I use when someone signs up at www.artofthediet.com. And so I send them a transcript of it because it was particularly helpful. And I thought I would love to interview Melissa during this COVID-19 challenge and just see how she's doing and if she's got anything that'll help me, because I'm in the market for a little inspiration. I'll just recap for any new listeners what the old listeners have heard in the past few months. The first 6 weeks of the quarantine, I was more anxious than I was depressed. And when I hit anxiety of that level, my appetite goes. I'm not able really to even think about food the way I normally do, which is like 24/7. So I did not struggle at all for the first 5 or 6 weeks. And it was only approaching the second month of quarantine that I began to realize, wow, I'm having extra bread, I'm having fully buttered bread, I'm having, a little bit of that cookie, a little bit of that. And I thought, isn't this interesting? It just wasn't on my mind for the first 6 weeks. But in the last, it feels like forever, but I've been doing this, but I guess I'm approaching my third month, and it's much more of a struggle. And listeners who have been listening for many years will know that when I have to put the sticky note on my bathroom mirror that says every day, that things aren't going well, because that every day means that I have to weigh myself every day to make sure that I'm aware of what I'm doing. And it usually is a stopgap measure for me, and it's worked very well. But these are really unusual times, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk with Melissa, because she has a great sense of herself and others, and honest about her own issues. The first part of this, the technology was not cooperating with us, so I had her recap for all of you her history, but that's the part that got really messed up in the tech part. So I'm just going to review it for you here. And she is someone who recounts her history with Weight Watchers began way back when she was getting married, and was focused in on, like so many of us, wanting to look good for a certain event and for those photos. And she subsequently went again after her first child, and several times after that. And she would always lose weight and sometimes get close to goal, but never really fully got to goal. And then in 2008 or 9, she signed up again, and this time she met goal. And as I said, I interviewed her in 2015, I believe, and we both were 5 years into being a lifetime member of Weight Watchers and having maintained our status with not too many times where we were above our goal weight. So anyway, she works in addiction, so she knows a great deal about the dynamics. And one of the terms she used in the interview today was something called harm reduction, which in her field has a particular meaning. For those who don't ever take another drink, they are choosing that road. But then there are others, and I guess there's a philosophy where you try to reduce the amount of harm you do to yourself by keeping a relationship with alcohol. And I just thought it was a great phrase to use during this COVID-19 discussion, because yes, we all have to eat. We don't have to drink. We don't have to take drugs, but we do have to eat to survive. And it just seems with the COVID-19 that reducing the harm to ourselves is probably the best way of looking at this period of time. We may not be able to follow the letter of whatever health law we previously used, but as long as we have both oars in the water at different time and are trying to get someplace, it usually works out. And I know that I think you're going to enjoy some of what she has to say and just getting to know her again. So I asked her also when the quarantine world hit her, what month and what phases she went through with it. And so I'll just let you hear Melissa. 2020.
St. Patrick's Day is really when everything shut.
Yeah.
I remember them saying like noon on such a date. And the first couple weeks, I wasn't quarantined or anything, but I was working less than before, and everything was very precarious. I didn't get any extra hours, I should say, because I have a baseline schedule, and then whatever extra I want or can take for more hours. And that felt a little like a snow vacation. You know what I mean? Like, okay, we're all home, school's closed, roads are closed. And so that was one thing. And then when it became clear it was going to stay like that, it was like, so for me, it was more my going out into the world and then coming home to a household that hadn't. So very odd and stressful.
Wow. Yeah. It's like a dichotomy. You were living in one century and they were in another.
Yeah, in a lot of ways. And I have said many times to coworkers and friends, my whole family is very glad that I could keep working. I really can't say. I don't believe it would have gone well. I have no idea, you know, because hanging around, not my style.
Yep.
We were blessed with pretty decent weather from the beginning, if I remember.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We know March in New England can be very, very nasty. And I remember many days that it was okay to get out and take a walk or whatever. Thank God.
Did you notice that that period of time, starting at St. Patrick's Day, when you were still able to work, but you had your full family component quarantined at home, did you notice an impact on your eating choices or appetite?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we went through a spurt of takeout and craft food, I would say. Like I think a lot of people did.
Right.
And then that got old. That just got old because it doesn't appeal to you the way it did at first.
Yep.
To do that, have takeout 4 days out of 7, you know. But what I did notice was buying a lot more food because there was this sense of the unknown.
Yes.
And like, geez, if you can't find toilet paper,
right.
I want to know I can find my, other food products
right.
to keep in the house.
Right.
Stuff like that. So there was that. And then I would say what I have found is I've been kind of going along for the ride with the poor choices in my household.
Yep.
So my husband is an avid runner and a very active guy, both with home improvement projects and exercise.
Right.
So he had to find his new normal, like without his running club and some of the other things that changed here and there.
Right.
But he can eat differently than I eat, and he snacks, but not the way I would.
Yep.
I would never have said he ever was a binge eater in his life
right.
versus a secret snacker.
Yeah.
You know, that's different. He'll eat small meals, and then at 10 p.m. where are the chips, right?
Right.
But I would like binge eat a bag of chips.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And there's a difference. But when I say go along for the ride, what I mean is, again, I have these 20-somethings in my house, right?
Yeah.
And they're bored because what else are you going to do? There's no Y to go work out at. There's no restaurants or movies to go to, right?
Yeah.
So they would take a ride. And like my son and his girlfriend, the big things are to take a ride to Sonic, which is over the line in like Lincoln, I think, Rhode Island.
Okay.
So it's something to do. And they're socially distanced, meaning they're just in a car, right?
Right.
The two of them are together all the time. Anyway, well, now, do you want anything at Sonic, Mom? At first, I'd be like, no. Yeah, please. So, like, when in my lifetime, even before this, even in the summertime of the good days, would I say, I'll take a milkshake 3 out of 7 days a week? Like, when would I have ever done that?
Oh, I totally relate to that.
So those habits will start, and, it's just stuff like I wouldn't even think to initiate it, or if I would, and my husband would say, oh, you know what, we don't want to cook tonight, let's get taken. Okay, that would be like one night.
Yeah.
But, do you want anything from Omega Pizza? Of course I do,
right.
So, and just all the old habits, like munching on stuff, like I love graham crackers, s'mores or not, but why do I need to eat a sleeve of graham crackers?
Right.
So they're there, I'm home, I'm bored, I'm nudgy.
Yep.
What's going on?
Yep.
So those sorts of bad habits have really just come back. On the other hand, I'm kind of surprised, given that I haven't put more weight back on, because it's not like I have a lot of friends who have, after the first few weeks, they're like, all right, I can't live like this, let's get it together. And they log on to something, they have walking groups, whatever they've done to adapt. And they're exercising, not like before, but they are doing something. And they are cooking there. I have a lot of friends, interestingly enough, who, it was like a role reversal. They would like to take out king and queen, and because they're home and have the time to think about it, they're cooking real meals like every day of the week.
Oh, isn't that fascinating?
Whereas they would have normally gone out 6 days a week, say, because the kids are off at college or something, and their schedules are busy. And now they're the opposite. So, but I'm at work. I don't want to start pushing with these gourmet recipes at 6:30.
Right.
And my husband has been home all day, but he's working from home.
Right.
even he is not necessarily having a Zoom staff meeting while, cooking veal piccata for me.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
it's just interesting but I have seen that a lot. A lot of my friends have so embraced cooking and a little baking, which can lead you to the snack problems. But I mean, they're making homemade challah on Thursdays for Friday, Shabbat.
Wow.
They're cooking these fabulous meals and storing it for the next night. And I'm like, oh, that's what I would do. I like to think that's what I'd be doing if I were truly quarantined as they had been,
Before the quarantine and in your period when you were attending meetings regularly and following Weight Watcher, would you have been doing recipes like this on your own, or would your husband been doing them?
We certainly would have been cooking more at home and planning stuff out.
Okay.
And there would have been more meals than a little of this and a little of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you might know that after a while, do I literally follow a new recipe off the Weight Watcher site or
right.
The Food Network, or do I just now know roughly do I now roughly know what goes into a healthier version of lasagna? You know what I mean?
Right.
So I wouldn't lie and say that prior to the COVID situation, I was investigating all these fantastic recipes, but I certainly was, between myself and my husband, cooking real meals.
Yep.
More nights of the week than not.
Yep. So where are you in terms of beating yourself up about this?
Not a lot.
Good.
Not a lot.
Good.
The stuff that I would be beating myself up over is the needless stuff. Like, did you really need that? Some of the old behaviors, but other stuff that I just know I have to get that motivation, and that will do it. And some of that is helping with this weather, being outside, like really working in the garden. And, we had our first social distance gatherings. My sister came over and my brother-in-law, and we went to another friend's and sat around the fire pit 6 feet apart. And that sort of thing actually definitely helps, because I'm not going to sit there with other people. You don't have that need to literally eat the whole bag of Doritos.
Right.
Servings of Doritos like, anyone else. So there's that sort of thing. But I wouldn't say I've been at all beating myself up over it. I have sort of been a little self-monitoring with the scale, but not going crazy.
And when you say self-monitoring, do you mean like once a week? Like I do once a week, Tuesdays, like a forever. That's what I do.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely do once a week, and occasionally if I'll think, I'm really feeling lousy, let's get a little check-in with yourself.
Me too. Yep.
Might be twice a week.
Yep.
But mostly, once a week.
Yep.
And I'm aware, I happen to go to the doctor today, so that's kind of cheating. Excuse me. No, that's not COVID. It's allergies.
Don't worry.
And I was relatively pleased because, like I said, the potential was there to go up a lot more.
Yes.
And with all my clothes on, I was, 7 pounds over what I would have thought was logical.
Wow.
So if a person's goal weight is 2 pounds in either direction,
right.
for Weight Watchers, I'm talking,
right?
So I'm 7 pounds over the higher, which is where I would think I'd be in this weird,
yes.
quarantine.
Yes.
You wouldn't expect to be below your goal in a weird scenario like this, necessarily.
Right.
So that's directly attributable, I would say, to some of my summertime choices over the weekend. But on
the other hand, something else is operating, because yes, you're making some of those, as you call them, poor choices, but you're also not going, the white flag isn't up, and you're not just saying whatever happens, happens. You're obviously doing something along with that is absolutely allowing you to keep
take
on.
Hold of the reins, Melissa.
Yes. Yep.
No good will come of that trip backwards. And I think a lot of people in the program and in other programs, whatever approach they're taking to managing health, weight, etc., are doing that too. Are they doing it, to the letter? No, this is not the time where a lot of people are doing those things to the letter.
Yeah.
But they're still walking if they can't go to the gym. They're still setting some limits. They're still paying attention. I mean, I'm impressed with what I've seen, and I haven't to do this, because I'm not a huge Zoom type person.
Right.
But I see the comments on Facebook and other spots, and I'm thrilled to see that people really are keeping community through technology. And I think that's the biggest part of Weight Watcher or anything like it. I mean, I'm in the field of addiction, as you might remember.
Right, I do.
And it's really hard to see people trying to build community on Zoom or anything like it. And that's no fault of the tools. The tools are neat. But if you're new to the game, like if you're going to go to your first AA meeting or your first Weight Watchers meeting, to have it be logging in online is weird. It's not the same as meeting nice, friendly Roz who,
right,
metaphorically could wrap you in a hug.
Right, right.
So, but I am glad to see and to know so many people for whom that has helped. And even if it just keeps them where they were the day they got quarantined, that's not so bad.
Absolutely. And even if it keeps them from just giving up, because
Absolutely.
That's
keeps you from throwing in the towel.
That's right, because that's what would have happened with me years ago. I would have, the white flag would have been up. Absolutely. Yeah. So. Yeah.
And like in the substance abuse treatment field, that there's a lot of debate between abstinence and what they call harm reduction.
Right.
Which obviously food is not, abstinence is not an option.
Right.
But that concept of harm reduction in this weirdo scenario that we've all been in is really what it's all about. No one can make the COVID go away, right? But
right.
It's harm reduction.
Right.
And no one can open the Y by my own sheer will, but I can reduce the harm I do while I can't go there,
Well, that's a phrase. That's an interesting phrase. I guess that's what's also come out of these times, phrases that maybe I heard them before, but I'm hearing them in a new context. And harm reduction is one of them.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this, just a final question, because prior to COVID, you had these real physical challenges that absolutely struck at your physical routines that you relied on for years. And I can so relate to that. And when the physical things happen, regardless of what they are in terms of gravity or ominous implications, the limitations that you have to live with and did live with for how long was it? A year and a half that you were thrown out of your...
Well, so the limitations built over just over a year,
Okay.
And then the big limitations that really hit home was 3 months out of work following the surgery, where I had to wear a collar every day, all day for like 8 weeks, and then gradually scaling back for like another 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think I had it on like 10 weeks altogether, if not 12.
Yeah.
And that was, it was just crazy. You had to wear, for the better part of that, I had to even wear it in the shower.
Wow.
So, as they say, that's when you find out who your friends are.
Well,
and
absolutely.
Unconditional love and all those things.
Yep.
But,
and could you walk with that? Or was that something that you could only do at the end? Could you walk with that collar on?
Oh yeah, I did, but not like before, because my first trips were like, and this might shock you, they would say go slow, Melissa.
Yeah.
So,
well, hello.
So my first advice from the doctors like go to the mailbox and then come back. Go to the end of the driveway.
Yeah.
And then back, and then worry about the stop sign, and then come back. And I'm like, when can I go swimming? He's like, we'll get there. So stuff like that. So, and that's hard. That's really hard. And that, I would say that was my first. I'd had other stuff going on, like I had a torn meniscus and I had surgery, but you knew that was very much more specific, at least I did.
Yes.
Than this other thing that happened last summer with the neck surgery. So, and I would say it is a progression, because the first thing that happened was when I came home from Israel, which was my dream trip of my life in 2017.
Right.
I got sick at the tail end of my trip, and so I got off the plane at Logan and went directly to Norwood Hospital for 4 days.
Really? Wow.
And I would say that was the start of my change in energy.
Okay.
I wasn't injured, and I was obviously fine, but I feel like my stamina has never quite been the same.
Okay. Wow.
And I had my torn meniscus was the fall prior. So I had the torn meniscus, the knee surgery I had, and I remember it happened to be, we went to the Grand Canyon in October. So I think I had it in December of 2016.
Yeah.
Then May of 2017, I was well enough, God bless, the knee was working. Then I went to Israel. I climbed Masada. Everything was outstanding.
Yeah.
And then I happened to get sick, as in like gastro stuff.
Yeah.
And they actually had wanted me to stay in Israel and go to the hospital. I'm like, I think not.
Right.
So I made it home and then was in the hospital. And then that was 2017. And then in 2018, gradually is where all the pain and discomfort fell into play.
Yeah.
And it culminated over the course of, closer to 2 years, culminating in the surgery last, the carpal tunnel was annoying, but millions of people have carpal tunnel. That was more like insult to injury.
Yes. Yes.
But the spinal surgery, the fusion last July, I'd say the culmination of 1.5 to 2 years, and then, being literally immobile for a few months at the end. But since I've been back to work, and it's funny, I did have a coworker say to me like last month or something that, it's funny, but since you came back, you're different. I said to him, thank you, I think. And then he backtracked, no, I'm sure I meant that in a good way. I said, no, I think I know what you mean. And he sort of couldn't believe it was that long since I'd been back. But I think obviously when I went back to work last October, or September really, mid-September of 2019, I didn't go back full of vim and vigor. I had to get my stamina back and stuff like that.
What did he mean when he said that you'd changed?
Well, I think when you're not focusing on chronic pain that you don't even acknowledge as chronic pain, you can focus on the other stuff. So I think I had a short temper. I think I didn't have the energy I had.
Right.
At work. I know the irony that really culminated was March of 2018. We went to all electronic medical records, long overdue compared to a lot of other places.
Yeah.
So as my hands, and not just like the carpal tunnel hands, but the neuropathy stuff was starting to get to its worst.
Yeah.
We were on the computer all the time, and we had to learn a whole new system.
Lord, just what you did not need.
So I literally would like lose my temper. I'd be like crying at the keyboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this particular coworker wouldn't have seen all that. My supervisor, who's also a very, very dear friend, did.
Yeah.
And I think, and I got a lot of that gradually when I came back. Like, I never realized it was that bad. And you never seen that bad. You never said anything. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? I don't even know what I'm feeling, so I couldn't tell you if I wanted to.
Wow. Wow.
So, I definitely have a new appreciation for where chronic pain fits into things.
Yes.
But I've also come away more than ever in a firm believer that you still have to find your way to exercise, or should I say, stay moving.
Yes.
Because if I'd ever lost all that in the middle, it wouldn't just be a matter of weight gain. I'd be worried about it. I'd be like losing it.
Well, the COVID on top of your, from 2017 right up through March of 2020, one was a distinct physical challenge that had psychological implications for sure. Whereas the COVID thing was primarily psychological in terms.
That feeling of being, and I think that's I think a big change and a big eye opener for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That concept of, I know I'm currently, thank goodness, physically safe and sound,
yes,
but yet I feel trapped. What do I do?
Yes. Yeah.
You know, and feelings of anxiety and depression that sometimes either exacerbate, or then come from food and body image issues and stuff.
Yeah.
My thought is that a lot of Americans are realizing, wow, is that what they feel like all the time? That's what I keep, I've said that to a few people. If you're feeling anxious about all this,
right,
because you're stuck in the house and you can't go out,
right,
but you want to, are you getting the fact that there are people who feel like that all the time?
They didn't need COVID to experience this. Yeah.
Right.
That's an interesting thought. Well,
and hopefully people who had that can share some of their strengths, like they might never have realized they had a strength before.
Well, I think some of us were actually more suited to this quarantine in some way.
Oh, yeah.
We'd tread this isolating world a little bit earlier and found ways around it, whereas other people, really, their mental health was on the line, not being able to leave.
Absolutely.
So, well, I'm impressed with you because I've had enough scrapes with physical challenges myself to know that it is really a sobering reality when you can't will yourself through X, Y, or Z. You have to experience it. And sounds like you've developed that, as well as some skills that have allowed you not to put that white flag up, and has allowed you to maneuver these waters and lack of energy and not having, as you say, the oomph to, get into something a little more structured, eating-wise.
I will say that the flip side to the whole COVID scenario, which I know was all over Facebook and commercials and things, but is true, is that hopefully, I know that my household and we have found a lot of reminders that slowing down is okay. Not just like physically, like if you're in pain, but, so the things about the restaurants, I do feel for small business owners, for example, having been one. But the reality is we realize we can cook at home, and there's something to be said for sitting around the table. We were running around in the world, even with our kids older and stuff, much less in the soccer mom days, than we needed to, and it didn't help us any. I reading, sitting down, watching a TV show or two, just doing nothing. Like that was a big change for me. Coming home from work and then doing nothing was a big change, because everyone sort of had this subtle permission to spend more time doing nothing, meaning relaxing.
Yeah, that's
and that,
interesting.
I think, was a good part of this whole COVID quarantine.
Yes, and it didn't drive you crazy. Whereas some people who have that same kind of energy and aren't used to doing nothing could not find that balance. And maybe they weren't surrounded by people that they liked or loved either. And that,
there is that.
We won't go into that.
Well, no, let's not.
Well, listen, I appreciate this so much, and I really want to thank Melissa. It's given me a lot to think about. And one of the things I want to just end with is, for anyone who's been at this for as many years as I have, going into I'm well into my 11th year of maintaining the 60-pound weight loss. And some of the things she said that she noticed when she hit some of the physical problems that she'd had starting in 2017. And then also some of her feelings once she got back on track physically. She mentioned that she just didn't seem to have the same oomph that she'd had before. And this is a girl that moves like the wind all the time, okay? I don't know what her resting heartbeat is, but it's higher than mine because I'm like inert on a couch just reading. And I even think Melissa's heart rate when she's on a couch reading would be higher than most. So when she noticed that she just didn't seem to have the oomph, the desire, she didn't know quite how to name it, but to get back totally on track, it is just something that I relate to enormously. And that the secret to maintaining a weight loss is not that you day by day, month by month, year by year, stick to a plan religiously, like perhaps Melissa did and I did early on when we were losing the weight. Really, the success comes in doing small things every day that put a brake on something that earlier in your life you just didn't apply the brakes. And although it's not dramatic, and it's also maybe not what everybody wants to hear, some people want to immerse themselves in some structured, very much rule-oriented, none of this food, none of that. And I think once you've gone through enough of those kind of strict programs and you've lost the weight, you kind of say, wow, I have to be able to do this in such a way that I don't have to adhere strictly to something. And I think the genius of it is that it doesn't have to be something dramatic. It can just be small steps that she obviously has been taking during this COVID, when she noticed herself just going along with some of the family food choices that she would not have gone along with quite so easily before COVID. There was just some falling into a pattern that just the warning signals, the flare gun wasn't going off. You noted it. You said, wow, I'm really not really into this, but you do it. And I think once you acknowledge that, you're also acknowledging that for the future time, you need to do something to counteract it. And I think that's the simple genius of Melissa, that she, for every reaction, there's another reaction. And she just doesn't ever say, I'm cooked, I'm done, I'm not going to fight this any longer. And yet she does it with grace and with humor. And so I am very happy that I talked with her today. I've got my sticky note up on my mirror, and I am going to do it every day this week and help turn my little COVID-19 extra pounds into, less by next week. So, www.artofthediet.com is the website that has all of these podcasts. And if you're listening and if you'd like to tell me your COVID-19 quarantine story, please contact me at, here's my email address, P as in Peter, B as in boy, C as in Charlie, PBC at Pat Coakley, PATCOAKLEY.com. And just drop me a line and say, hey, I'd be interested. And I'll get back to you right away. And I may try to do more of these because I think, I don't know about you, but boy, when I think about myself too much, it doesn't help anything or anyone that I'm in connection with. And even though I live alone and someone doesn't have to suffer through the ups and downs of my day, I just find that thinking of someone else and thinking of someone else's journey frees me up to just coexist with lots of things in life that I would like to adjust out of my life or into my life. So anyway, if it at all sounds like something you'd be willing to do, I would love to chat with you about it. And hopefully next month I'll have another voice that we all will benefit from listening to. Take care of yourselves. I'll talk to you later.